Hey friends, Rich here. Rich's Custom Marine and Auto. Today we're going to go through putting tubes in a tire. We're going to do the front tires here on this Cub Cadet, but it would be the same for the rear, or you could do this on trailers or whatever else. It's got this cap that just pops on, and then you've got a cotter pin. So this guy, and then there's just a flat, not really a flat washer, but you can kind of see that washer there, and that's really what this plastic cover pops into. So, and then this thing will come right off, and so this wheel says 30 psi max, and the tire says inflate to 14 max. So this I usually have at 10, and on other mowers I've run all of them at 15. Matter of fact, we set them at 15 when we do the deck leveling. So most of them will say, kind of like the rim does, they'll say 30 psi max. Notice this too has a, it's got a grease zerk on it. Maybe kind of hard to see because of the dust, but that's something that when we go to put this back together, we'll hit that grease zerk, and then we've got on the spindle there, we've got a grease zerk right here. So we'll grease those up as well when we go to put this back together. So, alright, well, I'm going to get set up to break the bead here, and then I'll bring you guys back. Alright folks, I want to show you a method if you didn't have a bead breaker. So you can see I'm using my welding table here, 2 C-clamps. You just want to get them as close to this rim as you can without marking the rim. And then what I did is I screwed them both down quite a ways. It started to kind of pull the tire away from the rim there. And then I just took this piece of wood, set it up on there like so, up against that rim, and then took my hammer and hit it down, and it popped right off of there. So we'll get back over to the other work area, and we'll pull the top side of that tire off the wheel, and then we'll get the tube in there. Alright, so now we've got our bead broke. Of course, you only have to do the outside, like I was saying. We've got our new tubes here. So one thing we'll have to do is we'll have to get this valve stem out of there. It's going to be a little easier to do that right now before we pull this tire up over the rim. So you can do that a couple ways. Tire shops have a tool that'll screw onto there, and then you can pry against this rim and it'll just pop it right out. You can use a pair of wire cutters, or you can use razor blade. Whatever you've got, you just probably don't want to drop that piece down inside of there to be floating around. Not that a mower really goes fast enough to worry about balance, but it could be annoying. So now I'm going to use these bars, but you could use a big couple of screwdrivers or whatever else. So I'm just going to use this towel so I don't mark up the rim. Now the whole idea, guys, if you've never done this before, is see how this part of the rim goes in? You want to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show that, but you want to be able to push the wheel down to where it gets into that smaller area. That's going to give you the room you need to pull it up over this outer part of the wheel here. So what I usually do is I'll just put my knee on it to push it down, grab a hold of it, and it comes right over the top, and you just kind of work your way around. It can get to be a little bit tight, especially using the towel like I am, but if you're going to repaint your wheels or you're not worried about your wheels, then you don't need the towel, of course. You can just go for it. Just being a little bit of a bugger. There it goes. Go. Let's see if we can get it to pull up now. Yep. All right. So now, which I've got to go grab right now, you'll want to use for your new tube either talcum powder, or talcum powder is recommended, or you can use baby powder, but you want to coat this thing all the way around, because when you get this in there, it might be wrinkled, and you go to inflate it and it can actually pop. So if you put the baby powder, talcum powder on there, once you put this in there, start with the valve stem, you'll see that in just a second, then this thing will actually move around so that it shapes to the tire. Alright, so got us some just regular old general baby powder. Kind of rub it on there, you'll see it kind of makes the chalky finish, but that's what you want, because you'll feel your hands will slide around too. Alright, take the valve cap off. Now we're just gonna start gently tucking this in. And guys, on a bigger tire, it might be easier not to pull this edge out from underneath the rim. It might be easier just to break the bead and push it down and be able to work it in that way. But I just figured, because this is such a small tire and wheel, that it'd be easier for us if we went ahead and pulled this rim up. You can see it's starting to go easier now that we're starting to get it fed in there. Okay, so now that we've got our tube in there, what I'm going to do is kind of work this over so I can try and get the valve stem up through the hole in the wheel. Be a little bit of a pain in the neck, guys, but it'll be worth it. All right, so we've got our valve stem there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool again and I'm going to thread it on there, because then there's no way that thing can pull back down inside. And we want to make sure that we don't have that tube pinched between the rim and the tire anywhere. Then we just start working this tire back down. Just be real careful when you use your tools. You want to go in just enough to be on that edge so you're not poking into your brand new tube. Almost there. Okay. Perfect. Now, it's going to be kind of loud. Apologize, guys, but says max PSI is 14, so we're going to go to 14 here. Okay, so we've got our tube rolled, because as soon as I put pressure in that, it started pulling that valve stem back down inside. Okay, so guys, once I pressurize it up to the 14 psi that it says is its maximum, always let the air out. That kind of relaxes the tube, so if you've got any pinches or it's rolled or anything like that, it gives the opportunity for it to kind of work itself out. Just make sure you don't lose your valve stem down inside, and then you can go ahead and pressurize it back up, and this bad boy will be ready to install. Alright guys, we got this thing together. You can probably still see a little bit of remnants of the, I just used Dawn dish soap around there on both. I did break both sides beads because it made it a heck of a lot easier to put the tube in. But we got it. I do want to share something with you guys that kind of gave me a challenge. So there's a difference here in these two tubes. So on this one, the valve stem it's in the center, okay? So that doesn't work for a wheel like this, because you can kind of see there where our valve stem is. It's not in the center, that'd be back over there. So what happened was I put this tube in there and it was binding on the side and it actually cut through right there. And then I figured out, you can see this one, let's see, you can see this one, center is down in here and you can see where it's at there. So made it a lot easier. So we got that there. So now, let's go ahead and we're gonna reinstall this. So we've got that, we've got our special washer here, these tabs. There we go. These tabs go out. There is a cotter pin hole in this axle, so we'll use a new cotter pin, and it looks like it's this one. So 1/8 by 1.5, which if I had a shorter one, we could get away pretty easily with a shorter one. So direction the vehicle moves is the safest way to do this, so put it in from the front. That way if it ever unbends for some reason, which I know is not likely, but it can happen, it won't come out. That's an aviation thing too. Bolts always go in the direction of flight. So if the nut falls off for some reason, it gets caught on the next inspection and it's not unsafe. So that's how I do it. This one was just put through and bent around. You can do that, doesn't really matter. And then we take our cap, and our cap pops back on there, and okay. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this one. We'll get the other side done and get this thing wrapped up. So thank you for watching Rich's Custom Marine and Auto. Please like and subscribe.